Good afternoon, Husky Pups. Here is Miss Bottone with your daily ELA read aloud. So I'm going to start off with some clues about our ecosystem today. Some scuba gear. Where would you take this? Our second clue, a fishing pole. What ecosystem could you go fishing at? So we are going to go to our PowerPoint. And if you guessed ocean, pond, lake, you were correct. Today's ecosystem is a pond. The picture I want to start with is Mrs. Faulkner's pond. She is a huge, gigantic pond behind her house. It's one of my favorite places to go during the summer. I'm going to remind you of our ELA standards for the week, RI 3.2. I can identify the main idea of a text and recount the key details and explain how they support the main idea. Our main idea is about a pond today, and the supporting details are going to be the facts and examples that talk about the pond. What facts about ponds, what examples of animals and plant life are they going to give us today about a pond? Our second ELA standard is RI 3.4. I can determine the meaning of unknown words in a third grade text. What bold words are we going to look for today that have to do with pond? Our third ELA standard for the week is RI 3.7. I can use information from the illustrations and use the words to demonstrate an understanding of the text. So I just shared an illustration of Mrs. Faulkner's pond. We're also going to look at some other illustrations of some ponds. So just like we've been doing all week, I'm going to start with a book about the pond. What do you find in a pond? Right on Epic, we have all of these ecosystem books. What is a pond? Ponds are small, shallow areas of fresh water. They are bigger than a puddle, but smaller than a lake. Most ponds are filled by a river or by rainfall. Some ponds are human-made. With Mrs. Faulkner's pond, her husband helped build her pond. Pond life. Many different kinds of plants and animals live and grow in and around ponds. Plants such as cattails are often found growing in a pond. Many kinds of insects, birds, and animals build their homes in the water or on the land around ponds. A pond ecosystem. A system is made up of connected pieces that work together. Each piece has a role to play. If any piece of the system is missing, the system will not work as it should. Ecosystems are types of systems. They are made up of all living and non-living things found in one place. So just remember that, third grade. Our theme this week is ecosystems, and they have both living and non-living things. A system that works. All of the living and non-living things in a pond ecosystem are connected. Plants and animals are living things. Living things change as they grow. They make new living things. Plants create new plants. Animals have babies. Non-living things such as air and mud are not alive. They cannot grow or change. So here are two great illustrations that have labels that make you better understand what is in a pond. Life in a pond. Plants and animals need both non-living and other living things in order to survive or stay alive. Plants need water, air, and sunlight to make their own food. The food gives them energy to grow. Meeting needs. Animals need water, air, food, and shelter to survive. Plants and animals can live only in ecosystems where they have everything they need. So if you look at this page, we see that survive and energy are words in bold. They are the vocabulary words, just like they were the same vocabulary words from yesterday's books. So if you're not sure what survive and energy mean, you can always look back at the glossary. Food means energy. Living things need food to survive. Plants make their own food using sunlight, air, and water. Ponds are open areas with a lot of sunlight and water. This allows a lot of plants to grow and survive near ponds. Time to eat. Animals cannot make their own food. They get energy from eating other living things. Some animals eat pond plants. Snails eat algae. Some animals only eat other animals. Frogs eat animals, such as snails and insects, to get the energy they need. A food chain shows how energy moves from one living thing to another. So remember, third grade, every day this week, we have heard of the word food chain. And yesterday, I challenged you to create your own food chain and post a picture on Class Dojo. I hope to see those today. Breathe deep. All living things need air to live. Air is a non-living thing. It is all around a pond ecosystem. Insects such as dragonflies breathe through small holes along the sides of their bodies. Beavers take in air above the water with their lungs. Drink up. Young frogs are called tadpoles. They live in the water and breathe using gills. Tadpoles change as they become adult frogs. They grow legs and move onto land. Their gills are replaced with lungs to breathe air above water. If you remember third grade, Mrs. Morgan has some tadpoles at her house, and she's showing you the life cycle of a frog. The watering hole. All plants need water to make their own food. Some plants float on the surface of a pond and have roots at the bottom that soak up water and nutrients. Other plants live on or underneath the water. They soak up water through their leaves. Belly up. Frogs, toads, and salamanders lay their eggs in water. They drink with their skin rather than their mouths. Frogs and toads have a patch of skin on their bellies that they use to soak up the water they are sitting in. When I was younger, one of my friends had a huge pond behind his house, and at night we would go frog and we would go out and we would try to spot the biggest, largest frogs and toads we could find. A case for shelter. Animals in ponds depend on living and non-living things for shelter. A shelter is a safe place that can hide them from other animals that want to eat them. Some insects build shelters in dead wood or rocks. Beavers use tree branches to build their shelters. So here's an example of main idea in detail. The main idea of this page is about shelters, and then it gives you some specific examples. When I go for a walk with Michael and Serena every day, we actually walk right by a beaver dam, and we could see all of the branches that they use to build their shelters. I'm going to go over there today, and I'm going to take some pictures or video, and then I will post it so you can see it. Many uses. A shelter is also a place to lay eggs or have babies. Ducks build nests in the ground at the edge of a pond. Tall plants help hide the nest from other animals. The ducklings also use the water to get to and from the nest. Disappearing act. Wetlands are areas where there is a lot of water in an area of land. They have holes that become ponds when water fills them. They are important ecosystems for many types of animals. These areas are in trouble. Drained, polluted, and dry. Many small ponds are drained for farming or to build towns and cities. Weather changes can also cause small ponds to dry up. Ponds can be easily damaged by pollution. Pollution is human-made waste that hurts pond ecosystems. So just like we learned last week for Earth Day, and polluting is bad, it can hurt ecosystems especially. Make a model. We use models to help us understand how different things are connected. A model is a representation of a real object. Pictures, storyboards, dioramas, maps, and diagrams are all kinds of models. You can create your own model of a pond ecosystem. Follow the instructions on the next page to make a diorama of a pond in a jar. So if you look closely, this little girl has got like a jar, like a mason jar, and she's making her own pond ecosystem. Dive in a little deeper with your scuba deer that I showed you earlier. Scientists use models to help them learn more about the systems they study. Now it's your turn. Present your diorama to family and friends. Help them understand how your pond ecosystem meets the needs of the different plants and animals included in your model. So I have another picture actually of Mrs. Faulkner's pond. And this was taken a couple months ago. Obviously there's a little snow on it, but I just wanted to share another great picture of her beautiful pond. Now you try. From the model we just saw, create your own pond ecosystem. Okay, boys and girls, click on Mrs. Faulkner's video and she will have an activity for you.